No.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, William Liu. Joining me today is the guest you've all wanted, Toronto Star columnist and author of the latest bombshell involving Kawhi Leonard and his infamous uncle, Dennis Robertson's wild and irregular contractual dealings with the Clippers. It's none other than Bruce Arthur. Bruce, thank you. Thank you. This is the perfect time to have you on.
It's good to see you, Will. And shout out to Alex, who's on vacation. I always
Well,
enjoy seeing Bron.
it's the second vacation that he's been on in the summertime, but you gotta enjoy life. What would you rather be talking about Kawhi and all the crazy things that he was demanding back in 2019, or on a beach in Curacao listening to this episode? Shout out to Alex. I know you're on the
Is
beach
that
listening
where
to
he
this.
is?
He's in Curacao right now. I've seen his
Wow.
calves on plenty of Instagram
Oh,
posts.
good for him.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a little jealous. Not gonna lie, but for anyone who actually haven't read the story right now, actually stop the show, pause it right now. If you have not read Bruce's latest from the Toronto Star, it's entitled "Inside Kawhi Leonard's Bizarre List of Secret Demands from the Raptors and How They Line Up with the Alleged Clippers Deal."
Mhm.
Um, Honestly, just for a quick little background, just in case someone has been like under a rock and like has not really locked in on anything basketball wise, there's been a huge story out there that's dominated the NBA for the past week or so. Some very excellent reporting from Pablo Torre over on Pablo Torre Finds Out, his very, very good podcast. I cannot recommend that enough. Where he uncovered a literal no-show contract for Kawhi Leonard and the company Aspiration, which has since declared for bankruptcy. And one of the co-founders is, he's going to plead guilty to, among other things, but fraud. Very long story short, but the Clippers owner Steve Balmer gave Aspiration $50 million. Aspiration gave Kawhi Leonard $48 million to explicitly kind of do nothing. And the Clippers, Kawhi obviously gave the Clippers a bit of a discount on an extension that he signed back in 2021. And yeah, I mean, I think also the other part too is Aspiration is one gigantic scam basically built around
Mhm.
selling carbon offsets and planting trees, which they actually did not plant. The NBA has since opened an investigation into what looks to be a very, very strong case of potential cap circumvention. It has been a huge story that, again, has been talked about all last week. And Bruce, you've just added more fuel to the fire. You just chopped down another tree and put it into the fire that is this whole situation. So, Bruce, what did you uncover from Toronto's end that relates
Mhm.
to Kawhi potentially, circumventing the cap with the Clips?
So, if you're following the story, so Pablo drops the investigation last week and basically lays out the first part, which is that he was paid it for an explicitly contractual no-show contract with this company, Aspiration, which was also a Clippers sponsor at the time, of $7 million a year. Boston Sports Journal added that there was a $20 million stake in the company, so stock shares. Um, and it adds up to about 48 million. And Steve Ballmer put in 50 million, and it looks fairly simple.
Mm.
But so the Clippers pushed back relatively strongly. And actually, I didn't realize Steve Ballmer flew from LA to Bristol, Connecticut, because he did the
Yes.
interview with Ramona Shelburne, who's usually based in LA. She happened to be in Bristol. He flew to Bristol to do the interview, 17-minute interview on ESPN, in which he denied that the Clippers had ever circumvented the cap, expressed their respect for the rules, said he had been scammed by the company, that his investment, he misread the company. I think that's true, actually, by the way. I think
Sure.
he,
Yeah,
he
for
I
sure.
think I think he dramatically misread the company. And if you actually look for the biggest problem for Steve Ballmer and all of this, that might be it. Um, and basically laid out his lines of defense and said, I know nothing about this contract. I have no control of the company, right? Because he only
Hmm.
owned 3% or something of the company, which is important.
Yes.
Um, Now, the problem with this defense is on its own, it doesn't really explain anything, right? Because why would this company, which was in failing financial health, pay Kawhi Leonard $7 million a year, which was, as Pablo reported, way, way more than Leonardo DiCaprio was getting, Robert Downey Jr. was getting, Drake was getting. Another Toronto connection. Fabulous. So the contract on its own, with a clause that says you don't have to do anything. There is no way to explain that contract in a business sense, right? It's never announced. The stock, the $20 million in stock, never announced. None of this is public. Then you add the fact that Balmer invested in the company. And not only did Balmer invest in the company, Balmer brought in Oak Tree Management, I think it is, a venture firm that put in even more money. He put in $50 million. They put in something like $250 million or nearly $300 million. Now, but the Clippers' defense is we didn't know about this. This has nothing to do with us. Then that's basically all they've got right now. There isn't a lot else. The problem is this. In 2019, let's go back. The championship, they win the championship, and there is a real question as to whether or not Kawhi Leonard will come back to the Raptors. Everyone knows he wants to go home to California. He's a San Diego guy. Everyone knows the Clippers have been chasing him all year. During the playoffs, Dennis is talking to people on loading docks about the Clippers and all this stuff. Like, there's so much smoke that's around him during the playoff run. But now we're
in the Raptors loading dock.
Yeah, like, well, after games and stuff. Like, Dennis was not.
That's where the media is held.
Well, like, just after games, like, that's where guys talk, right? So you have groups of people.
Okay.
Like, one of my favorite memories of that run is after they escaped that Philadelphia game 4.
Yes.
Where Kawhi hits he hits a huge three with like a minute and a little more to go. Like, in Philly, you're right behind the basket, and that's the basket we were under. And I remember going, holy shit, that's a shot. Like, because at that point he'd been brilliant in the series, but that shot in that arena, that's one of the most intimidating, loud, like, awesome arenas in the league. Yep. Tremendous shot. And I remember afterwards seeing Masai, and it's on the dock, like, because we're all just walking through and all this stuff. And it's the only time I've ever seen him really rattled by a game in my life. Right. Like, he was like, he knew that they'd escaped something. So during the playoffs, there were just moments where people, not me personally, but people would overhear Dennis talking about this stuff. So everyone knew the Clippers were like, that was the real competition. So as the negotiations go on in the playoffs, and all of Toronto's waiting, right? People are going crazy about it, tracking the plane, all of that stuff. I think I wrote a column at the time saying, like, leave Kawhi alone. Everyone just settle down a little bit.
It's good advice, honestly.
But so in those negotiations, and we reported it at the time, reported it the day Kawhi chose the Clippers, is that they had asked the Raptors to trade if they could trade for Paul George or Bradley Beal, but that never really went anywhere. Paul George was really the guy because Jimmy Butler was not available for Kawhi to team up with. Jimmy was looking at Miami the whole way. And so that ask for the Raptors at the time, we're kind of getting off field a little bit here, but it was Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, at least 4 unprotected first-round picks. The Raptors said that's too rich for our blood. It turns out that's pretty much what they got. And that's important because, and this is stuff I did not know at the time. I've since learned it in the wake of this aspiration reporting. 2 of the things, like, so Dennis is the guy who's asking for stuff from the Raptors. It's him and Kawhi in the meetings. Mitch Frankel, the agent, is not part of this. Right. So, and then there's a whole bunch of people of the Raptors on the other side of the table. And Dennis asks, at one point in the negotiations, do you think we could get a piece of the Toronto Maple Leafs? And so Dennis knows that you can't get a piece of the team, of the Raptors. But he does not realize at the time, it appears, that the Leafs are he thinks they're a separate entity, right? He thinks they're a separate company.
Right. Instead of all being owned by MLSE, of course.
It is explained to him, sorry, that it's part of the company. We can't do that. And then they go, well, what about other companies? And this is something I did not know at the time. And what about, could we get stakes in other companies? Right. And that's like, no, we can't give you that, right? Like, we're not going to give you a piece of Kilmer, which is Larry Tannenbaum's company. We're not going to give you a stock in Bell or Rogers. Like, that will contravene the salary cap. The other thing they asked for was, okay, so they said, okay, it's about 10. We can get about 10. I think the number was fuzzy, but $10 million was kind of a floor for extra money in sponsorships as part of a Clippers deal. Now, that in itself is not unusual, right? There's tons of players across the league who have sponsorship deals, especially with team sponsors. Teams are allowed to introduce them, right? It makes sense for the team because then you're doing right by your sponsors. Makes sense for the sponsors. Makes sense for the players. Fine. And they go, well, there's lots of companies here. The MLSE says, there's lots of companies that would be happy to sponsor you, right? Like we can, remember when the Leafs
at that time, any company in Canada would have been happy to sponsor Kawhi Leonard for Kawhi to endorse their product. It cannot be overstated how popular Kawhi was in Toronto. I mean, the whole parade basically is
legendary at that point, right?
Yeah.
He has keys to the city, so of course that will happen. The Kawhi, so Dennis essentially says, well, but we don't want to do anything. And the Raptors go, what do you mean? No, you do some ads, you do some appearances. That's just how these things work.
Post something on social, which you don't even personally post. It's your media manager posts that for you. And the assets are given to you. You just click accept on an invite. Yeah.
You render services, right? Like in exchange for the money. That's what the money is for. And Dennis goes no, we don't want to do anything. Now, this is incredibly important, right? Because what did he get from aspiration? He got paid at least, and this is starting in 2021, the aspiration deal. So there's a missing 2 years here. We don't know. We don't have a window into 2019, 2020, 2021. We know in 2021, Balmer invests in aspiration. Aspiration signs a deal with the Clippers. And starting in 2022, Kawhi is getting paid $7 million a year for nothing.
Yes. For
nothing, explicitly contractually.
Literally,
he also is given, what's the other piece? A piece of the company. The two things he asked for from the Raptors. So at this point, what happened in 2019, right? Do we think that this only started in 2021? Or do we think that given that this was the ask, that the Raptors were being asked to match? If they were being asked to match the money, you have to presume they were also being asked to match the conditions under which he would receive the money.
Right.
And at this point, we are looking at the biggest cap circumvention case in NBA history.
It's certainly a lot to digest, and quite frankly, it's a little enraging on multiple fronts. I think, especially speaking as a fan of the Raptors, first and foremost. But okay, a couple things I wanted to walk through in that sense. I guess why does Kawhi not have an agent do this for him? And why is Uncle Dennis, Dennis Robertson, who is only referred to as Uncle Dennis in NBA circles, why is he so prominent? Because it's not the first athlete to have a family member be involved. It's a pretty common situation, but he is notoriously involved, and to the point where it feels like the agent almost gets no one even knows who Kawhi's agent is, but everyone knows who Uncle Dennis is. What's going on? What is this specific situation? Why does he lead so much of the negotiation?
There were people around the Raptors who saw Mitch Franco come to town once or twice and never saw him again. You
can only imagine Kawhi's his biggest client.
And he is actually. If you go look at his list of guys, he absolutely is. But so I don't know the exact mechanisms of this, but anyone who's ever dealt with Kawhi has had to go through Uncle Dennis. That is how it works. So Pablo reported, and this totally fits the pattern, that when aspiration was late in paying Kawhi Leonard, it was Uncle Dennis on the phone calling to say, where's our money? Right? You have to have a registered representative do your deals in the NBA, but Dennis is the guy who you deal with Kawhi. And whether it's likely it's trust, right? So when they're negotiating in 2019, it's Dennis and Kawhi are in the room, right? So that's who you're negotiating with. I think that's where there are several elements of this which cause a unique problem. One of which is Kawhi himself and what he wants, right? Pretty much we don't know what all deals players have across the league, but there's tons of sponsorship deals where you are paid to do a sponsorship, as we've talked about, right? I don't know how many guys are asking for no-show jobs. That's an NCAA thing, right? Like the
Yeah.
NCAA, it's been rife in the NCAA forever. Like Kentucky got drilled last year for violations with football players in 2021, 22, no-show jobs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is an NBA player who over the first 5 years with the Clippers made $196 million in salary, asking for a no-show job on top of it. So an agent would not ask for that. As to my knowledge, an NBA agent would not ask for that. It's just not how things work.
I think there's like other things that come into play. If you're an agent asking for this and there's like some sort of paper trail that ties you down to this, I think you get decertified. Like you lose your business, and whatever. I mean, it's not like there haven't been shady agents out there. This is sports, like people are always competing, and that leads people to sort of step over the line a lot, and find advantages, even erroneously. But I just find the Uncle Dennis portion of this, even back when Kawhi was with the Raptors, always so interesting because, it's hard to separate what Kawhi wants versus Uncle Dennis, and it feels like the buck doesn't really stop with Uncle Dennis; it stops with Kawhi, and I understand Uncle Dennis he was investigated back in 2019 by the NBA for making these kind of demands. I think. Especially with the nature of the negotiations at that time, I think similar asks were made to the Lakers. At least it was reported around that time. You can only imagine. They were like, hey, this is the deal, okay? We want Paul George for no matter what, and we also want all these like no-show jobs. But yeah,
and like a house and like access to a plane, and there was you hear stories like this actually in global football and soccer.
Sure. Yeah,
right. Because those guys are so big and it's so unregulated. They ask for all kinds of stuff. And that's the thing is an agent can walk in and ask for all kinds of stuff. Right. And an agent can say, we will sign this deal as soon as the owner does a cartwheel. Right. Like you can ask all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And Dennis obviously didn't do his research. It wasn't he didn't know the Leafs were part of the same company as the Raptors. That's a Google search, man. That's not difficult. But he knew what he wanted, and the fact that Kawhi's in the room while this negotiation's happening, tells you that this is what Kawhi wanted. He's doing what Kawhi wants. The problem you get is so let's go back to the Kawhi chase for a second. So the Raptors are in. Like it's clearly the best basketball situation. They just won the title. Like they won the title without OG playing in the playoffs.
I agree. Everyone knows this, but why did he demand for Paul George no matter what? Like it was going to be the same thing in Toronto. I mean, as you described, is Pascal, Fred, 4 unprotected picks. Like, I mean, turns out they actually got even more out of the Clippers with OKC with Shea. But like at that time, Shea's profile wasn't even as big as like Fred or Pascal. It's just at that time.
Now think about this though. So that's actually an important point. They got what they asked of the Raptors out of the Clippers when it came to basketball. Right? Because like when the Raptors are offered this deal, they're like, no. You're like, if you can get that, good for you. Yes. But we're not paying that. They could get that. They got 5 picks, right? They got Shea. The Clippers were desperate. What did I tell you? The Clippers were desperate to make this deal. The Clippers had to make this deal.
Yeah.
And remember, this is just another quick side quest. Paul George has said that he was 50-50 on that. He was not sure he was going to go home because he's an LA guy too, or close enough.
Yeah, sure.
But like, if the Paul George deal doesn't happen, Kawhi's a Raptor. He's a Raptor. Like, there's no other route. There is no other way for the Clippers to make this work basketball wise. But they do make it basketball wise. If that was all it was, then there's nothing to see here.
Sure. Yeah,
right.
That happens all the time. Look at LeBron going back to Cleveland. It was like contingent on them trading, I think, Wiggins at that time for Kevin Love. That's above board, even though it's a little schemy, but like whatever,
Well, that's the league. The league is basically AAU recruiting combined with NCAA recruiting. Like it's
combined with NCAA no-show jobs, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. But that's how the league works, and that's why you need relationships at the highest level. That's why you need to be able to like. There have been times in the past where the Raptors have asked in on a certain player and been told you will not be able to trade for him, right? He's headed somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's the players determine to a huge degree where they go and who they play for. So like when Paul George signs with Oklahoma City, everyone in the league said like he had a handshake deal where if he ever decides to leave, Oklahoma City will help him go where he wants to go. So that deal is possible, right? Because he still had years on his deal when he goes to the Clippers.
Yeah.
So at the time, it's the Clippers are trying to get him. The Lakers, all the way through the process, we reported it then, reported now, they were the third place team. Kawhi did not want to be a second fiddle to LeBron. And if you think about it, let's say that this is cap circumvention. That the condition for signing Kawhi is however many millions extra that you funnel through, however you do it, however you pay him, that it costs more than it costs. The Lakers are not a cash-rich franchise, or weren't, right? Under Jeannie Buss, with all the Buss siblings involved, it's a glamour franchise. It's not a cash franchise. So I have trouble believing the Lakers would be able to get into that part of it too. And then basketball-wise, they're the third place option, pending a Paul George trade.
Right.
So at the time, the Raptors really thought there was a chance. There were constant communications with Kawhi. They they ask on the Paul George thing, but even think about how good the team is the next year.
Yeah. It's the ultimate test case. This is why everyone's so hung up. If the Raptors were just bad, outright bad in 2020, it would be like, all right, you know what? Maybe if Kawhi stayed, like it could have changed things. But no, it's the fact that they were so good. Like they had the second best record at the time when the playoffs actually began in 2020 after the COVID break, when they were in the bubble. They had the second best record in the league, and it was very clear that if Kawhi had stayed, there was a very strong chance that the Raptors are not just contenders, but like favorites to win the title that year. But
I mean, you can make an argument that if Pascal Siakam touches a ball during the pandemic, because he doesn't touch a ball for 3-4 months, and he's terrible, right?
No, it's true.
I don't know why he thought the world was ending, whatever it is.
Honestly, I don't judge anybody for what happened in that period. Honestly,
if he touches a ball, they win a 7-game series rather than lose a 7-game series. It's probably enough to make a difference.
Yep.
They could have beat Miami, and look at their regular season record against the Lakers that year.
Yeah, 2-0.
And they were the best team in the league at taking away either LeBron or AD, whichever one they wanted. Right. So anyway,
and that's without Kawhi,
that's without Kawhi. That's without Kawhi. With Kawhi, and that's where like cap circumvention as an idea, like people, their eyes can glaze over, right? Like it's accounting, it's money. This is how the league always works.
No, but
the problem you get is it changes the league.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So sports is so weird because you're supposed to compete as much as you can around each other, but there's a set of rules. You can't just go on the court and like be Draymond, which I was last night, unfortunately, picking up basketball.
Oh, really? Right?
Yeah, I'll talk to Jerome about it after we're done. No, but like there's a set of rules, like just like you can't walk with the ball 5 steps. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and you have a league of 30 really rich people who own these teams. And it's basketball. It's a pretty scarce resource. Like a lot of times it's who has the best player or who has a top 5 player. If you don't have one of those guys, you don't win. You look at the history of the Raptors. We had 1 year we had a top 5 player, maybe top 1 that year, and then we win. So it's so competitive. But that's why these rules exist. Because otherwise, a guy like Steve Ballmer, who 6th richest man in the world, I don't know if he could buy the NBA. I don't know if you can. But
yeah, he probably could actually.
He could probably buy the whole Western Conference, like no problem.
What's your average valuation? Average valuation in the league, let's say, is $5 billion.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a little
maybe a little more,
days, but yeah, sure.
Okay, but so if it's $5 billion, he's worth 180 or 175.
Yeah, there you go. So you could buy the other 29
teams. You could buy the league. I've said this about the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. Like instead of spending money on golfers, they should just come in and buy the NBA. Like if they really want to get into sports, I hope they don't. But like they have enough money to do that. Balmer is so hyper rich, but it's not just that. How did Steve Ballmer become hyper rich?
He was one of the co-founders of Microsoft.
He was one of the co-founders of Microsoft. Steve Ballmer, Bill Gates, Paul Allen, another former NBA owner. Right. How did Microsoft make their money? One of the ways that Microsoft made their money is by conducting business in a way that resulted in the biggest antitrust settlement in United States history. Yeah. Like they nearly broke up the company because if you were competing with Microsoft, there were so many ways that they They absolutely didn't care about the fair rules of competition. This is how they worked.
Yes.
So it's not a stretch to say that like Steve Ballmer was the CEO when they signed the settlement.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
Like, and he's so rich and he can't buy this league. That's one thing. If you're Steve Ballmer, you can buy almost anything. You cannot buy the success in this league. And so when the Clippers had planned out the Kawhi chase, like that's why Lawrence Frank is at every game, right? They absolutely are looking at this as this is our way to compete for a championship. Not a dumb move, right? And so when you look at how much they gave up to Oklahoma City, and then when you look at what the Raptors were being asked to match, and then you look at a contract in which Kawhi Leonard is being paid far more than other celebrity endorsers for nothing, a contract which cannot be rationally explained by anything other than a sort of money laundering. Like no matter how
that's what this is, yeah.
No matter how spendthrift aspiration was, no matter how corrupt aspiration was, no matter how much of a scam this was an absolute scam. There is no way to make this make sense on its own right now.
So let's try to nail the Clippers. What is the smoking gun in the situation? Because the NBA has said they'll investigate. By the way, the NBA has said they'll investigate the Clippers. This is not the first time. I'm just going to give a brief rundown of... okay, so just tampering, Kawhi, Clippers. This is the general folder. This is the folder headline, and these are some of the items within that folder. So Lawrence Frank, as you just suggested here, estimated to have been at 75% of Raptors games in the 2018-2019 season. That might be more than me, and I had a season ticket media pass. Doc Rivers fined $50,000 for being on ESPN. And by the way, obviously Doc was the head coach of the Clippers at that time. Comparing Kawhi Leonard to Michael Jordan on record, Adam Silver gives quotes in response to this fine saying, look, there are clear lines of like what you can't do as an active head coach. And yes, it's cool to get Doc's opinion, and he's great on media, but obviously this is tampering. You're the head coach of the Clippers. So you guys fined $50K. The NBA has also investigated the Clippers for tampering just in relation to the 2019 and the improper dealings with Uncle Dennis around that time and sort of what asks he made. The NBA, by the way, in response to that, I think they actually changed the rules to officially designate that only certified agents, in response to this, only certified agents can be the ones negotiating deals just in general for the players. The NBA is also investigated Jerry West. Rest in peace, Jerry West. But Jerry West was obviously part of that Clippers front office, and someone named Johnny Wilkes had filed a lawsuit in the County of Los Angeles Superior Court alleging that West agreed to pay him $2.5 million if he helped the Clippers sign Leonard in free agency in the summer of 2019. There's a lot of other details, which Wilkes also claims in the lawsuit that Uncle Dennis would receive a house in Southern California, a travel expense account, stuff that you've covered in this sort of thing. And also, by the way, Steve Ballmer would commit to spending $100 million in marketing campaign for Kawhi, which, that might be something to look into as well. There's just a lot of money involved. Well, and of course, recently...
Where is that? Where is the $100 million marketing campaign for Kawhi? I've seen him in New Balance ads. Those New Balance ads, by the way, cursed.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray, Cameron Brink... Kawhi
even
Leonard,
Tyrese Maxey got hurt last year.
Tyrese Maxey, anyway, carry on.
Yeah, Shohei, man, just be careful out there, Shohei. I mean, by the way, this is everything that Jay should offer for Shohei. Actually, this whole conversation. The Clippers then, of course, in 2024, also were sued by a former employee and longtime strength and conditioning coach for Kawhi named Randy Shelton, who alleged tampering between the Clippers and Kawhi, even dating back to before the Raptors, obviously their time in San Antonio, because that relationship broke down back in 2018 or 2017. Yeah. So there's this is all the investigations that the NBA has looked into, just specifically with Kawhi and the Clippers, and now this is once again reopened. So what is the smoking gun that's finally going to tie this thing down? I feel like I'm on an episode of The Wire and you're Lester Friedman right now.
The question of proof is one that people have started to circle around, right? And you've seen some NBA reporters who are kind of jumping to what I think is probably the savvy position, which is they're probably not going to be able to prove this, because if they couldn't prove it in 2019, the Raptors were hot in 2019, and I don't know, I don't know what all they told the league. I mean, Larry Tannenbaum's the chair of the board of governors. I'm pretty sure he would have told Adam Silver something.
Right.
but you got to prove it. So if they couldn't prove it in 2019, what does that tell you? And we're presuming it happened, right? Based on everything we know now, we're presuming that this is exactly what it looks like. If they couldn't prove it in 2019, what that mostly to me says is that there's no paper trail because all of this takes place either verbally or outside the bounds of the Clippers organization, right? The league can look through your texts and your emails but for the club, not for Steve Balmer, not for his private business dealings. That's not how it works, right? And so if they couldn't find it then it's very possible they can't find it now. Like the reason Joe Smith is the biggest cap circumvention deal in NBA history is because they wrote it down.
Which is so dumb, yeah.
Which is so dumb. But in this case, I would not be surprised at all if they didn't write anything down. And that said, if you read the CBA carefully, the burden of proof is not proof. The burden of proof is fairly lax. Is like if you have a deal which cannot otherwise be explained, if you have a deal which is far above market value and if it looks enough like cap circumvention, the league can determine it's cap circumvention, essentially.
Circumvention.
And my argument would be that they should be there right now. That is the baseline for where we are right now before an investigation happens. Because again, given the asks in 2019, given the contract and what was given to Kawhi in 2021-22 by a company which was falling apart. They were barely keeping the lights on. They were firing employees, and they're still paying Kawhi Leonard way above market value for nothing. Why? Right? There is no, and Balmer puts his money in. Like, what's been fascinating to me, one thing that's been fascinating to me is how many people have bent over backwards to try to make this into something other than what it obviously is.
Yeah.
It has been incredible. But the question of proof, I don't think you're going to nail them on proof. But I would say right now, based on what we know, based on what has been reported, the penalty should probably be a Joe Smith level penalty to the Los Angeles Clippers. And so Joe Smith, let's refresh. Glenn Taylor, the owner, is suspended for a year from contact with the team. Kevin McHale is suspended without pay, the general manager, for a year. They are docked 5 first-round picks. That turns into 3 first-round picks. And the Joe Smith contract is voided. He has to go play for the Detroit Pistons for 1 year. They tell him, like, if you play for Minnesota, you're suspended for the year. If you play somewhere else, you're not. So 1 year, he has to play somewhere else. He goes back.
Yep.
I mean, the joke at the time was, if you really wanted to punish the Minnesota Timberwolves, they should have honored the contract because Joe Smith wasn't that good.
That's one of the key differences here because it's one thing to be tampering for Joe Smith. It's one thing to be tampering for Kawhi Leonard, who at that time was like the greatest player in the NBA. Like,
he was as good as anybody.
Yes.
And so I think right now, I think the league, if it wants to be serious about this, and remember, there's only a few owners in this league who would even be capable of doing this, right? Like the Raptors have a lot of money. They cannot do these kinds of deals. Bell and Rogers as publicly traded companies. It's just not how, and now it's going to be Rogers going forward. This is not how it can work. Jerry Reinsdorf is rich in Chicago. There's no way he's doing this. He is a profit-oriented man. Same with Stan Kroenke in Denver.
Yeah.
Like there are very few owners who are in this price range and have the willingness and ability to do this, I believe. And so if you're the league, you have to put a stop to this. Because think about the historical implications of Kawhi Leonard going. Maybe he would have gone anyway because going home is a powerful thing. It is a powerful, powerful impetus.
Sure. Yeah.
But they conceded during negotiations with the Raptors that they knew it was the best basketball situation. The Kawhi Leonard, like they weren't dumb. They knew. They were there. They had a front row seat.
Yep.
They knew it was a better basketball situation. If the difference between going to LA and not is these payments, and there's a Paul George trade, it's possible this isn't the only thing, but if that is the difference, not only are the Raptors robbed of the chance to repeat as champions, maybe once, maybe twice, who knows?
Yeah. But
the Oklahoma City Thunder's trajectory is changed in a way that affects the rest of the league.
Yeah.
The luxury tax payments that would have gone to the rest of the league had the Clippers actually paid, if this money is coming off the books, if you just applied it to the salary cap, it doesn't quite work. But like the integrity of the league, of the shared socialist salary cap, socialist capitalist salary cap way this league is operated, the way that you assume fair play to as much of a degree as you can, it's at stake right now. Like Kawhi broke it.
Yeah. Well, Kawhi, the Clippers, I think they're just, Uncle Dennis. I don't even want to put him as a third party. I mean, obviously he's very involved, but I mean, I think the Bucks off of Kawhi.
He is critical to this. Again, the elements of this are Kawhi asking, Dennis being willing to ask for him because a self-respecting agent wouldn't. And I think that, but the biggest thing for me, the biggest part of this is, again, guys can ask for all kinds of stuff. Someone has to say yes.
Yes.
And Steve Balmer went on national television in the United States last week and said, we respect the rules. We think they're important.
By the way, if you watch that interview, I mean, obviously he, tries to defend himself. He tries to use the whole, I'm the victim here. I'm the one who got conned. I mean, me, like I have all this money. I'm so good at investing, but I missed it. And you know what? Honestly, I could even buy that portion of it. But I think when Ramona turned some of the questioning towards, have you communicated with Kawhi about this situation, and did Kawhi make these demands? I wouldn't say he threw Kawhi under the bus, but I would just encourage people to listen specifically to how he answered those, as compared to how he answered the questions in relation to how the Clippers, which is his team, dealt with those situation. I certainly he did not attach himself more strongly to Kawhi in that interview, which, I mean, honestly, I am curious to see how this all sort of unfolds. I agree with you. It doesn't, for me. I wish there was one thing, and maybe that's still to be uncovered. I know Pablo. Well, he if anyone who saw the interview, he had a stack of 3,000 pages. So maybe one of those pages, it's like, boom, like there's this like direct link. Steve Ballmer says to Aspiration, we want you to, conditional to us giving you $50 million is that you pay 48 or 28 to Kawhi, and then obviously continue to give him $20 million in shares of the company. If that was all on a piece of paper, then absolutely. Like, I might even go as far to say just kick Steve Ballmer out of the league. But to me, there isn't that one like direct link. So this is not a Joe Smith situation, as you mentioned. I also wonder,
except Pablo has said this is an IQ test, man. This is an IQ test.
No, for sure, yeah. The common sense wise, Occam razors. This is what
Occam's razor. Exactly. I've been saying that all week.
Yes,
exactly right. But so again, I don't think I would be surprised if there is definitive proof that they wrote this stuff down, right? And that said, the NBA CBA gives Adam Silver the leeway to do this. Like, to me, here's what I do if I'm Adam Silver.
Okay.
I suspend Steve Ballmer for a year. Based on what we know now, Steve Ballmer has no contact with the team for a year. I void Kawhi's contract, or at least I walk up to that line. Like, I go that far. I dock them.
Man.
I dock them first-round picks. I fine them, but it doesn't matter because like the fine is contractually limited. You can't fine them that much.
Ironically, all the first round picks are owned by the OKC already. So
they don't own their picks until 2030.
Yeah.
I take the NBA All-Star Game and I move it to Staples.
Ooh.
No one has to change their hotel room. You may not even have to change the locations of the parties.
Oh man.
And you tell the Clippers, you screwed up.
That's good because honestly,
that's what you do.
That's the part that I'm wondering from, if you're Adam Silver, you're like, okay, Steve Ballmer clearly loves basketball, will spend a lot on basketball. Honestly, if he was just like, if he operated within the rules, a great partner to have is one of the 30 owners of the NBA, one of the richest people in the world, very visible. Again, he just built a team. He privately funded the stadium, which is awesome because
he's great for the league in a lot of ways.
He didn't take away taxpayer money. Also, just into a dome specifically is going to be very much at the center of basketball for the next like 2-3 years because you have the All-Star game there, which I'm sure was one of the conditions to building the stadium. But you have the All-Star game this year in 2026, and then you have the Olympics in LA where it's going to be huge, just in general, but basketball is always really big at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And that will be largely played, obviously the basketball events will be played into a dome, in addition to Staples Center. So it's like, it's not particularly easy for Adam Silver in this sort of situation, especially without a smoking gun. And that's why I wonder if the Clippers will get away with this again.
Listen, it's possible. It is possible. Yeah. I will say this. So Steve Ballmer is going to keep saying, "I was scammed. I'm the victim here," and I will concede this, and this is something you need to concede in this conversation. He's probably right. Like his biggest mistake here was in investing in a company that he utterly, tragically misread. That one of the best investors in the history of business looked at this company a year before they are in giant financial difficulty and said, I'm going to put this is where I'm going to do my secret deal. That's what we think happened. Now, if he invests in a different company, in a company that does not go bankrupt, none of these documents become public.
Right.
We don't see the no-show contract. No one reports, no one from Aspiration talks about the fact they gave him Kawhi stock options. And they absolutely get away with it because we can't see this. Because Pablo got the bankruptcy documents and put the pieces together, it's the crack into which we can see how this all works.
Exactly.
It is possible, because Balmer is one of those powerful owners in the league, that he will get away with this. But I'm telling you right now, based on everything that has been reported to this moment, right this second, there is enough I think, to hammer the Clippers in a way that will send a message to every hyper-rich owner who is ever in this league. You cannot do this.
That will be the right thing for me as well, and hopefully that is the course of action that Adam Silver takes. Bruce, you've been so generous with your time. Everybody go read the piece. You've had a lot of really good pieces,
thanks,
about the Raptors over the years, and unfortunately, this one is of a nature that's not celebratory, but seriously, it's quite good. Inside Kawhi Leonard's bizarre list of secret demands from the Raptors and how they line up with the alleged Clippers deal. You have 1 minute. I'm going to let you go right after this. Does this affect Kawhi's legacy with the Raptors?
Flags fly forever, man. They do.
Okay.
Remember the parade?
Of course, man.
There were 2 or 3 million people. They planned it so badly. The joke was always with the Leafs, whenever they're good, plan the parade. No one planned the parade, right? There was a shooting at the parade, right? It was crazy hot. People were being lifted out of the crowd.
Man, people pissing in bottles and Lassen Square, whatever.
Yeah, I first came to Toronto in 2001. That was the greatest day I've seen in the city in all my time.
Yes,
right,
undeniably. Yeah, it's not even come close.
It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And Kawhi asked for too much and he went home afterwards. I wrote it the day he left. I wrote, you can't be angry at him for going home. It's nobody's fault he left. And I believe that to this day. It's nobody's fault he left. This is the league. It's up to Adam Silver to be the commissioner. That's what's next. But in terms of Kawhi and the Raptors, listen, this is a funny, weird, gray area, wild league, man. It is a crazy league, and that banner will be in the rafters until the rafters fall down, man. So I think the legacy's secure. I really do.
There you go. All right, Bruce, we appreciate you. We're gonna throw to a quick commercial break. We'll just talk a little bit more amongst ourselves, but appreciate Bruce Arthur for everything you do, and we got to catch you more in Toronto, man. I know you're not here as much anymore, but it's always great when you're in the city.
Yeah, well, it's good to see you, Will. And always, as always, shout out to Alex.
There you go.
This show is brought to you by Simply Spiked. Will, I know summer's over, but you are not done with Simply Spiked, are you?
No, absolutely. This is my preferred drink of choice, as you know.
I am very aware, and that's why I need to ask you, what do you prefer? What is your favorite flavor? Is it the lemonade? Is it peach? Is it limeade?
After a long summer of researching and testing every single flavor, I think I have it boiled down to 2. Number 2 has come down to the blackberry flavor. Blackberry was very, very good. And
oh my gosh, dark horse pick.
In the rotation. But number 1 is actually the blueberry, which I tried looking around my house. I don't even have anymore. I'm going to need a restock.
You went through all of it. Okay.
Simply Spiked hit me up again. But I'm probably going to pick some up at my local beverage store, and I'm going to enjoy those responsibly, because those are my top 2, blueberry and blackberry.
Well, good to know. It's not even anything I listed there. Hello and welcome, fans. If you're not sure what flavor you want to get yourself a variety pack so you can try each flavor. It really is the ideal drink for any occasion, from hanging with your friends to catching this upcoming Toronto Raptors season. Nothing will get you feeling refreshed and ready for the season like Simply Spiked. Fall is approaching, but there's no need for pumpkin spice when you got Simply Spiked.
Oh, very good. No.
Thank you. I know this is an ad, but Will, you really love your Simply Spiked. Like, this is not a joke.
It absolutely is not a joke. I'm not kidding. Like, I had my brother house sit my cats while I was away in Europe over the summer, and when I came back, one of the cases of Simply Spiked were gone. So I know it's not just me who.
It runs in the Lou family, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, George, man, I'm gonna have to send you some in Montreal.
This is a Simply Spiked household. Well, anyway, pick up Simply Spiked at your local liquor store for your next hangout. Must be legal, drinking age. Celebrate responsibly.
All right, producer Jerome Chang.
Hi, how you doing this morning?
We got a lot to talk about, but we'll do that after the show.
Sure.
After hearing what Bruce and I discussed, but largely what Bruce discussed, because
absolutely
he's done some great reporting on this. How do you feel? How should people feel as a Raptor fan? Like, how does all this make you feel? Is it like water on the bridge for you? Is it like I'm angry all over again? Obviously, it's like, you know, unless we're specifically getting it into a dome for Hello and Welcome, which we did also, but that's not going to buy us out, okay?
Right. It was a lovely tour.
It
was a really great tour. Yeah,
it was great. It was a great arena. I'm not going to lie to you.
Best media meal still, you know.
Oh, that media meal is incredible, but that's not going to buy us. Okay?
Yeah. This is us showing up.
Clippers
right now.
are still
This
going
is not
down.
A no-show promo right now.
Yeah. We actually did work in that building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how do you feel about all this, especially because we've had about a week of this since Pablo's first bombshell dropped? You know,
I don't know. I guess like generally when all this came through, it kind of felt like more that we dodged a bullet than we like were inevitably like screwed by the whole situation.
Yep.
I think, you know, it is one of those things where, especially when you think about like all the Uncle Dennis side of things, you know, and how it was just continuous, like requests, outrageous demands, things like that. I mean, we weren't going to meet it then. I felt like it was a smart move to not meet it then. If anything, it only like further affirms it for me. Mm-hmm. It is unfortunate because it just seems like Kawhi leaving after this is even more of an inevitability than anything else. But I don't know. Like, I really like what Bruce said at the end of it there. Like, I just don't feel like there is a real effect on the legacy of it all. I don't know. How do you feel? Like, you didn't get a chance to respond. Where were you at?
I think for me, and, you know, there's like what he did on the court, which cannot be questioned, cannot be touched. We did a whole series about this over the whole year where we rewatched key games in that title run, and like, it affirms everything I remember from back then. Kawhi Leonard was like literally Michael Jordan. I'm not going to get fined for what Doc Rivers said.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This guy was literally Mike for us. But I do think that like there's a when I mean legacy, you know, I'm thinking about like even on the way out, if you wanted to go home, you want to leave, that's all fine. I mean, no one was really. You know, it was made clear, relatively clear, right? Like, you know, like I think Nick Nurse has even said this. Like, I think Kawhi had a meeting with him in the first time they met after the trade, and Kawhi's like, I'm going to give you this 1 year, but I'm going to play hard. And he did.
Sure.
And if that was all that there was to it, absolutely. Legacy. I would even argue that, like, he should have his jersey. I would even be okay with his jersey being retired after that point. It'd be a pretty wild jersey retirement, but, like, pretty deserved, too. I think the way that when you leave and on your way out, you're like, hey, I want you to do all these like no-show deals for us, and I want you to trade, you know, we want you to break the team up for, you know, Paul George. I mean, at that time, it was also reported that they also wanted Russell Westbrook in here.
I remember that. Yeah.
I'm just like, did you respect the team then? You know what I mean? Like, if you just won with these guys and you're like, hey, break it all up. It's one thing for LeBron to come into, you know, Cleveland when he came back and he's like, yo, trade all these other guys. I mean, honestly, Cleveland was bad. It's like trade Wiggins for Kevin Love. Turns out to be a great decision, right?
Right.
You just won the title together a couple weeks ago. You just had this whole parade, and now you're being like, hey, let's bring in Paul George. Let's give me a piece of the Maple Leafs. Like, it's not the way you would act out of respect. And that's the thing when I think about legacy is like,
I mean, like, to try to push
all
back a
that
little bit.
factors in, man.
Right. I think like when you, especially when you're talking about some of the Like where, like that's the thing that's always really tough when we're looking at any of this is like how much is Uncle Dennis, how much is Kawhi speaking to this. And you guys joked about it when we were going through the championship react. There were like so many key moments in the run where we would joke like Kawhi comes out of this game and probably looks at this like team like, man, I had to really like do all of this, and like thinking like he might need help. Yeah. I know that's not true, and that's not actually
but but that's just how titles are won, you know.
Right.
You don't if you don't want to do a hard thing, then do something.
But like I think to that end, it's just like like great players don't necessarily, and this even has applied to LeBron in certain circumstances with some of his demands of who he wanted on his team and things like that. Like anytime we're in a scenario where it's just like GM superstar player, how often does that like turn out that they actually have like sound reasoning as who should be surrounded around them in order to like succeed? So I think when it comes to those ends of like wanting all those pieces, to me I'm just like great player, probably not the greatest GM. Like you kind of saw a little bit about how that broke down with like Giannis and the Bucks in terms of like trading away like pretty much a similar situation, and like you had the core pieces that like are older. I mean, actually it does feel similar to the Raptors, even though we have our like young core coming in. Like you just see like in order to sustain, the move wasn't to keep the core and use what works as much as try to find ways to upgrade with superstar talent that then backfires on the team. Obviously a lot of extraneous like circumstances, but like again, when it comes to that thing, I'm just like, sounds insane. Again, kind of comes down to the idea of like, if this is what we were dealing with, then I think it's better that we got out. You describe a lot about like very wild demands from family members as presented. And this is in no way saying like the kind of things that like I heard back then were like at this level, but sounds very similar to like when Vince Carter left. You know, there was a lot of like Vince Carter being upset with the team, a lot of talking about things about like family members. Like, I mean, the one that was like so silly and I don't know where it even landed out was like the parking spot, right?
For his mom,
But to me, like when you're describing like what happens if Kawhi stays, especially like knowing this information, I'm like, I think what we might have is if he stays, it might actually erode his like legacy with the team. We might have like a thing where you start seeing so many things happening on the outside that are affecting the culture of the team, the chemistry of the team. And then if we actually are seeing like someone with a degenerative injury, like, and the on-court product is not what it used to be, like, that's just like going to be a ton of frustration that comes through. So if anything, again, it's like, you know, we got the honeymoon period, we got the championship. Maybe we should just be happy that like we got him at his like absolute peak moment and got away before it got messy.
Yeah, that's pretty wise, because I think out of everybody involved, the Raptors got the best deal out of Kawhi.
Yeah.
Now Kawhi got the best deal out of the Clippers.
Absolutely.
But the Clippers have not gotten the best deal out of Kawhi. In fact, if I were Steve Ballmer, I'd be like, man, at what point do I say just screw that? It is what it is. What's Kawhi, 34 now? Like, you know, no one's saying the Clippers are going to win the championship next year, and no one really expects them to do it anytime soon. What is it like too much of a headache?
Right.
You know what I mean? I got my stadium. It's built. I have my All-Star game. I have the Olympics coming in here. I have no picks in the future. I have Kawhi and James Harden until the wheels fall off, and Nick Batum, and it's like, you know, like I don't even make it out the first round these days. With how competitive the West is,
in a weird way, like with
like just trade away the MVP.
What is happening right now? They got what they wanted. They started the Intuit Dome. They had a superstar core. They had a face of the team. It's the unfortunate side of always remembering that like the NBA is a business, but it's like, it sounds like in a very messy, potentially corrupt way, everyone capitalized on 2019. Kawhi capitalized at like his absolute peak value, got everything he wanted out of it. Steve Ballmer capitalized on the value of Kawhi as a marketing tool. Like everyone kind of got what they wanted. And then until they didn't.
And then the other hard part for me too is just like, you know, even just putting aside like what he did for the Raptors, like even just if I were a general fan of the league, I find Kawhi like he's awesome to watch when he plays. He's an undeniable player. Like any fan of basketball would love Kawhi, And then his personality is also hilarious. Like, there's no way you don't look at like his interview
Right.
with like Serge Ibaka or, just this summer, him in China, like, him and
If
Hansen.
this
like,
didn't
bro, this
drop,
guy's
like Pablo
hilarious. Like,
Torre ruined Kawhi's like really fun and quirky summer.
yeah, it's just like Kawhi's like really fun,
Like,
quirky
Kawhi just
guy
went
who's
to
like
China,
incredibly like
like-
cartoonishly greedy. I think that's
Yeah.
that's my big verdict.
that
on it.
is, yeah.
And I guess you never know any of these guys. You know what I mean? Like, even if they
Absolutely.
play for your team, even if you know some people in their circle, you still don't really know them unless you're like actually in that circle.
Yeah.
But man, and I think the other part too is just like, I think Kawhi's history, and this is why Uncle Dennis fascinates me so much, because it's like, I think people should definitely know what Kawhi's history is, in terms of just with his uncle. Obviously, you're going to be close to your uncles.
Sure.
But for people who don't know this part, like when Kawhi was 16, his father Mark was gunned down at a car wash that he owned in Compton, and it was, I think it was described as like a drive-by shooting. They like it was Mark and I think his pregnant partner at that time, and like they all got sprayed. I think Mark was the only one who died.
Right.
But in that same day, Kawhi actually ended up playing the same like that night, because he just wanted to sort of get away from the situation. But he like broke down in tears, as you would. He's 16 years old.
Of
His
course.
father just got
Yeah,
killed.
yeah.
Now, of course, like his father and his mom like had separated when he was younger, but he spent lots of time going between. He used to work at the car wash with his dad a lot in the summertime. And so his uncle Dennis Robertson, is actually his uncle on his mom's side. And you can imagine, like, when you lose like your actual father, like how much you would attach on to the next closest father figure that you would have. And so that's the other part that, for me, it's like, even if you're Kawhi, it's like I could see how, when you face this type of like genuinely life-defining trauma, that you would like attach yourself to the people that you feel secure with.
For sure.
And that's where, even, okay, obviously it's a weird situation because most people would just have an agent for this, but most people didn't go through what Kawhi went through. You know what I mean? And so I think there's a specific bond there, and especially the sort of the environment in which Kawhi grew up.
I think
and
there's
sort
a
of that
specific
informs-
trust.
Exactly. And I think
Yeah.
maybe to you and I, like we're much more privileged relative to this. Like we have
Absolutely.
both our parents, for example. For us, we're like, okay, this seems like, I would, if I were Kawhi in this situation, just given my sort of, upbringing, just rational sense, I'd be like, hey, man, like, for me, this doesn't feel rational. Like, let's not ask for peace of Maple Leafs. Let's not ask for, all these no-show deals. If I want an endorsement deal, I'll work for the endorsement deal. It's basically just go into a shoot a commercial, post a couple tweets for my social media manager, and then boom, I got an extra $10 million.
Absolutely.
Like, what I mean? It's like right there. It's not that much work.
And like to like bring it to like a much smaller like
Yeah.
level, it's just like we do a lot of ads, a lot of promotional materials.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things too where we will negotiate back and forth to be like, how many
for
posts do
sure.
we need to make, how many like
But-
things like that. And
Yeah.
so there's just like this level, like obviously it's like not a multi-million-dollar situation, but it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, I can get this for doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think sometimes there is just that like very basic human level of like, this is poorly executed,
Right.
and potentially illegal. Like, but like it's just.
Yeah.
There's just this thing of like if you're just like a human, like a person in that situation, and being like, someone is going to offer me this money to do this thing,
Yeah.
and I don't need to do anything for it. I don't know that like any of us are better people to be like, hey, wait a minute here. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's true. I haven't really been paid to do a no-show job, but hopefully I get to that level. There is a part of me, the immigrant upbringing part of me. I'm not even immigrant. I don't want to cast this aspersion at all, but I think there's part of me that I'm like this. I mean, I feel like most people would feel like this is pretty sweet, but like, man, I don't know, because I guess what I'm trying to reconcile is I always felt resentment to the Clippers for
Sure.
kind of like cheating Kawhi, away from the Raptors with sort of like sweetening the pot, playing outside the lines, like the tampering, Lawrence Frank living in the arena, stuff like that. Like I that already bothered me, from that sense. But I didn't really hold much resentment to Kawhi for leaving. I'm like, I get it. Now, especially in the wake of all these demands and all the reporting that came out, it does kind of make me feel like we kind of. I feel 80% cheated by the Clippers and then like 20% cheated by Kawhi. You know what I mean? Because it just wasn't enough that like we won the championship. That was a great time. And even on top of that, he was like, all right, break up the team and also, give me some deals. I'm just like, man.
No, it's a
I
tough
guess I
one.
honestly, even as a Kawhi fan, as a Raptor fan, I wish I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is a really tough one. I think, it's. I think when I think about a lot of these things, it actually reminds me a little bit. I forget who made the case, but it was like when people were obviously upset about Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. It's kind of like I think the best analogy that like broke it down to make it understand for like someone like myself who isn't a superstar basketball player making like millions, tens of millions of dollars is just like,
Yeah.
hey, if someone offered you a job in a better location with better pay and a better situation, why wouldn't you take that job?
Yeah. I guess
You
the
know,
only
like-
difference is there's not better pay, right? But like,
Or well, like, but like just in the sense, like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
move to like a better like climate, you are
Mhm.
closer to your family, you're doing
you're a
all these
bigger
things.
deal. You know.
You're a bigger deal,
Yeah.
Like I think like when it comes to all that, absolutely, like we're basketball fans. That's why we're
Yeah.
doing this podcast. That's what we want, the best basketball. We want things to make logical basketball sense. We
Mm-hmm.
want the best teams put together. You don't want to make the wrong decisions around breaking up like a good core that definitely works. And yet, I don't know, like I think there is that thing that is unfortunately it always rears its ugly head, is just like it is a business first and foremost.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I mean, the funniest thing is the biggest scammers out of all of this is aspiration. I mean,
Sure.
What Pablo detailed there was just cracking me up. How it's not even clear that they planted even one tree to do carbon offsets.
Yeah.
That part feels. I mean, the whole thing's like really, really greasy for me. But like, I think that part for me, I'm just like, something like protecting the environment and helping people who want to protect the environment but don't obviously have the immediate means to do so
Sure.
is a very admirable cause, and whatever, they weren't just
And also the
purely
timing
doing this
of
for
it, because
charity.
it
They were
was
trying
like
to become a
during
bank.
the pandemic too, like just like from a pure like PR standpoint, like why wouldn't you
Yeah.
align yourself with something like that? Yeah.
Right. It's like I feel like that's a genuine effort, and that's something I genuinely believe in. And then for this company to go out, I mean, no one even cares about the aspiration part of this
Sure.
necessarily because we're sports fans, but I'm just like, damn, man, like even something that aims to do good was a scam.
Yeah.
And obviously the Clippers were not aiming to do anything other than to serve their own interests.
Yeah. The
I
part
still-
I'm actually like kind of curious about, and it goes like
Yeah.
even further back, and I just don't think they would ever get involved or like comment on it because they're doing fine. And it's just like, do the Spurs feel like they just like cut loose like a situation that they, because like that was like the big
Yeah.
thing that year, right? Like we never got into the details of it, and I think in a lot of ways the Spurs, for like the rare occasion, look like the organization that mismanaged Kawhi.
Yeah.
All
there was
this
a lot
new
of that.
information that comes through, and especially like the external involvement that happens around it, like there is this thing, like we even talked about it to Bobby like during the interview, and when he was approached, it was approached like, oh yeah, this Kawhi Spurs situation is done. Like that, like there was a thing where
Yeah.
everyone's kind of looking for an out, and they're trying to get like best value out of it. And so, but like you're also talking about a player who literally like leaves, like he's off for a whole season, but he like wins a championship and Finals MVP the next. And I don't even know that like the Spurs watching that, especially knowing everything that comes afterward, or like I don't even think they're thinking about it, to be honest. But like in retrospect, as a Spurs fan, you're like, oh yeah, like we're good. Like we got what we needed out of that, and now we have Victor Wembanyama, and we are the future of the league.
I was gonna say the Spurs look better for the situation.
Absolutely.
OKC's definitely a huge winner of the situation. The
Yeah.
Raptors, I
Shea
would
Gilgeous
categorize-
Alexander.
Oh, Shea's a
looks
huge winner.
fantastic,
Canada
you know?
is a winner of the situation. But honestly, I mean, the Clippers are definitely the biggest losers. The Raptors are the second biggest losers, though, I have to say, in all of this. Because it did
Absolutely,
kind of
yeah.
like peter out the momentum of the team. And people are going to move on. That's just the nature of
Sure.
time and whatever. But like,
I guess like I just don't necessarily buy into the grass is greener idea if he stays, just because of like how now knowing all the information.
Well, I mean,
knowing yourself,
imagine the
knowing all
Raptors
those
actually
things.
capitulated and said yes
Yeah.
to all these things.
The only thing that you really have a case in, but that also
Yeah.
assumes that they maintain this core and everything goes as but we're not going to do it apparently to keep Kawhi.
Right.
Is that maybe we get that 2020 championship bubble, but we're doing it maybe with like
Right.
Paul George, Russell Westbrook. Russ gets a chip maybe.
I
Russell
would-
Westbrook lost that,
honestly,
yeah.
that would not have felt good. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like,
Yeah.
watching like Kawhi, Russ, and PG. Like, I mean, first of all, I can't even envision that as like a championship core, especially
Yeah.
considering what's happened since.
You know that thing of like you get all this and
so
the meme
weird.
is like, but at what cost? Like
Yeah.
I think that's what we're looking at here.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
when we look back in retrospect and we want to say how sunny it would be if things turned a certain way, you know, and you just said it right there. Yes, maybe in the last couple of years since 2019, we get at least one more championship, but at what cost?
Yeah, and by the way, this is where I have to remind people that Kawhi in one season with the Raptors won more series in the playoffs than he has since done for the Clippers in what now 6 years.
Yeah. It also is the greatest gift to any Toronto sports fan or Raptor
Yeah.
fan to give them something to be petty and bitter about.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, hate
Yeah.
watching. I mean, I know Alex will jump on the Clipper bandwagon every year, but that's largely for Batum,
Yeah.
which no one has said about basketball unless they're
Absolutely.
French or something. But yes, I don't know. The whole situation has been really fascinating. I'm really happy that Bruce was able to make time.
No,
I
for
actually wanted
sure.
to talk to Bruce about Masai's exit as well, but we ran out of time. I mean, this story is just kind of like all consuming. You can sort of sit on it for a long time.
Sure.
But
do you want to
speaking
talk a little bit about Masai? Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Masai, you and I saw Masai
We
in
did.
Toronto earlier
Yeah.
this week.
Is that his first like major public like Toronto appearance since?
I think so. I think it's
think
his
so.
own. I think it's his first public appearance in Toronto since obviously he was let go of his title as vice chairman and also president of the Toronto Raptors. He was in town as part of the Toronto International Film Festival, which again, like as an avid TIFF goer, like this is probably the best thing that happens in the city. Definitely one of the coolest things that happens.
The
in
energy
Toronto
is just
every year.
unmatched. Yeah.
Energy's great. Everyone's walking downtown, getting free, tote bags and cups of Lavazza coffee, and lining up 8 hours to go to the Criterion collection.
Yeah.
The closet.
Friend of the show, Kiana, got onto Letterboxd, like
Oh,
was in the Criterion, but also like was
Oh, that's
part of a
kinda fire.
Letterboxd like video that was posted
what
from
was their
TIFF.
pick?
Oh, I have to go back to watch.
Okay,
but yeah,
okay,
they got to give their like top four. It was
Yeah,
really
yeah,
cool.
okay.
Yeah, really happy for them.
But yeah, I mean, so Masai was he was actually the executive producer, and he's also in the project as well. But he was in town for the world premiere of Origin. What's the full title of the film? It's called Origin. It's covering the first inaugural season of the Basketball Africa League.
And it's a series. It's not a like specific
Yes.
like one documentary, so it's a multi-episode series.
It's gonna come out, I believe, on Crave in Canada and on ESPN in the US. I think maybe
That's
even TSN as well, actually.
They mentioned through Bell. So
Through Bell. So you would
yeah.
imagine it's one of the Bell's properties, whether that's Crave
yeah.
or TSN, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, the film is Origin, the story of the Basketball Africa League. We got to watch episode 1 and 2, and again, it covers the launch of the Basketball Africa League, which is the first official league, and I think remains the only official league set up by the NBA outside of North America. Jerome, after watching episode 1 and 2, what do you think?
It was really good. Like I think the basketball portion of it, obviously it is talking about a basketball league being created, but it really felt more like a celebration, or at least like shining a more positive light on like Africa as a whole.
Yeah.
I think it was, I mean, we just been so kind of like almost spoiled by having Masai for all these years. And
Absolutely.
we've heard every kind of like Masai motivational speech, every kind of like encouraging words, but often in the context of the Toronto Raptors and around Toronto. And it just really hits different when it hits home for him in Africa. And I think like in ways where I might have been at a random MLSE event and Masai would kind of give the same spiel about believing in ourselves and all those things. And I'm like, all right, Uncle Masai, like we get it. That's great. It just means a lot when he's speaking to people from his hometown, to kids, like really wanting like, because he can present the success that you can find by doing those things, but also wanting that. And also, I think the thing that both him and President Amadou Gallo Fall like were stressing is just like normalizing that you can have success in Africa, that you can be successful, you can experience good things. I think like to that end, it was just really important and honestly very emotional to watch.
Very, very emotional.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a sense to with Masai. I think, like, obviously we see him, we've seen him so much
Sure.
over a decade plus through a Raptors context and a basketball context, and certainly even through that context, he's very, very passionate. You know, like,
Absolutely.
obviously he's got a dossier full of legendary quotes at this point in relation to basketball. But I think you see a different and maybe even more of a raw and unfiltered version of Masai, something that comes much closer to the heart when he's talking about his efforts to just improve conditions across the board, and the way he discusses sort of how he believes that different African nations can sort of like move forward and enrich their lives, and it's not just like talking at the top level, because obviously we've seen Masai.
Sure.
I mean, even in this one documentary that we saw, and through 2 episodes, he has linked up with former President Barack Obama, Paul Kagame of Rwanda, Emmanuel Macron from France. Attended one of the games. So not only at the very top, because that's world leaders, but like
Sure.
you see. And I think what's really passionate and to me the most touching is when he's talking directly to campers.
Absolutely.
Masai obviously has his own organization, Giants of Africa. And by the way, thanks to Giants of Africa for obviously providing us some tickets
Yep,
to
definitely.
attend the premiere. We really, really appreciated the chance to go. But actually, this is the second time. I told Masai when I saw him afterwards too. But this is actually the second time I was at TIFF to see one of his projects. Previously, he had a documentary that was directed by Cameron Bailey, entitled Giants of Africa, and this came out I think probably 2017.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that one follows him, again, documentary style, but like follows him directly in terms of like, at that time I think Giants of Africa was in 12 countries. I think it's since expanded, but following him at each step, following the stories of the people in the camps, even just the conditions where obviously this doesn't apply across the board. I'm sure some other people are more privileged than others, as you would see in any society. But there's some stories of like, campers who are in South Sudan and going through, a very violent conflict, being able to find some safety and also find some inspiration. And the way Masai speaks about sort of the leadership and changing the mindset of sort of like, the place of women in society and empowering women. Hearing, there's this one scene, and I guess it made it into Origins as well, but this is originally
Sure.
from Giants of Africa, and it stuck with me almost forever with Masai, where, he was scheduled to have a camp at this gym in the Nigeria stop of Giants of Africa.
Right.
And obviously
I
that's
do
where
remember
Masai's
this.
from.
Yeah.
And the gym just like was like either double booked or people just didn't show up. I don't know. It's like in the middle of the day, it just like the gym's closed, and Masai is like so frustrated, and he's so just beside himself. Like he can't believe sort of how much he was sort of let down. And when eventually he got in the gym and he was able to sort of give this the speech to the campers in the gym, you almost see him like break down in a way, and he's like, this is what we have
absolutely.
to change. It's on you guys to change the future of this country. And again, to the thing that I've consistently said about Masai is like, whether he's the same person, whether he's in the room with literal presidents of the world as he is with like people from the most like unfortunate of circumstances. And I think that to me is like the clearest sign of his humanity, and that emanates in all the work that he does. I'm not trying to like talk about him like he's like this sort of deified figure, but there's no way you see any of the work that he does that doesn't touch upon a sense of like hope and a sense of like leadership. Like it's truly
really
truly a
inspires.
special person, man. Yeah.
Like he inspires just by being who he is. I think the part that you talked about that feels miraculous is how consistent he is.
Yep.
As a person, just like
Yep.
wherever he is, he just keeps that same energy, and it really does motivate and inspire. I think, and then also, we're talking about Masai. Obviously, it's a Raptors podcast. Like, it can't be said enough. Like, the other thing I think that was like a very emotional moment was the end of the first episode where Amadou Gallo-Fall is talking about, again, wanting to normalize that the people of Africa can have good things and not feel like it's a miracle to have those good things. And
Sure.
I think what the director and the editors in the documentary does very nicely and emotionally is they actually hold on it because they don't cut away. They show that he struggles to speak through it because of how much it really matters to him.
Yeah.
He's getting choked up. He needs to have like a drink of water, but even when he gets and like composes himself, it's still
that was
it's like
really
so
good.
overwhelming. It was really good. And I don't know. It's just it's funny because we haven't really talked too much about the basketball side of it, but like it doesn't feel like it is about that so much. Like obviously they follow some players. It's some really interesting stories. They feature a lot of J. Cole who played in that season.
J. Cole, There was definitely J. Cole getting a putback that you see a couple times.
And that
technical
one
free
jumper
throw
from the
as well.
baseline, that one practice jumper from the baseline.
Yeah.
But no, I mean like it's just it feels like such a miracle that it gets all put together. And it speaks like not only like the power of the both of them and the others who did it, but also just like the sheer force of will, like the determination. Like it just seems like such a insane undertaking, and they do it, which is like so huge.
Yeah, and I think I mean definitely check this out. Whether I think they'll probably have a couple more showtimes,
Sure.
screenings, just in TIFF. I think the festival ends this weekend, so you still have obviously a couple more days. It's just Wednesday right now as a recording. But of course, when it comes out, I really just recommend people checking it out. I also really recommend if you can catch Giants of Africa, the documentary that was put out in 2017. Like, I on a personal level, I was really happy to see how many members of the Raptors organization was in attendance in the theater. Like, lots of Raptors assistant coaches were there. Like I was sitting beside Vim Buffnani. Darko was there.
Bobby was there.
Bobby was there.
Yeah.
A lot of the players were there.
Yeah.
Apparently they had it was perfect because they had practice earlier in the morning, and then they were just like, "You guys want to see a film?"
I'm sure they probably scheduled around it too that way.
Yeah, and then they were just, but I'm happy that they showed up and that they were there. And
I mean, like one thing that is not really mentioned too much about like everything because of obviously everyone being upset about Masai leaving is how much work and effort he seemed to have done to ensure that everyone else stayed before he stepped up.
Yeah. And I just, I'm happy that everyone sort of showed up for him.
Absolutely.
Because this is, I mean, the screening was Monday at 2:30 p.m.
Sure.
It wasn't exactly prime time. It wasn't like Saturday night 7
No,
p.m.
and you see it like with TIFF. Like after the weekend, like the street is opened up again. It's not closed down. Like it's outside of it. Yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, like I just, it's a good reminder. The Darko went over, gave him a huge hug. All that kind of stuff. It's just like, everyone knows sort of how special a person Masai is. So, yes, I have put in a request to interview Masai in the process as far as hello and welcome goes.
Sure,
see how
of
far
course.
it goes. Might have come on a little strong to Masai, but I don't think he was put off by it. And
that's good. Yeah.
I'm just happy for him. It was really good to see Joakim Noah was there too. Joakim is another one of the executive producers, and he spoke really beautifully about the project. And just in general, man, it's been a good TIFF, but it's always a highlight when Masai's projects get featured.
Absolutely.
In this space. So, and Al Shamshay was there, which is cool because he played in the Basketball Africa League.
Yes. Yeah. And then like because Kama Malawak is like the first NBA player that came from the BAL. I think is what they mentioned.
Yes.
In the post, I'm not sure if that's the case, but they did say that in the Q&A afterward.
Also, I thought Ulrich also played in Basketball Africa League.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Or
the fact that like the first drafted and like being like a lottery pick.
Right, probably first lottery pick. Yes, he definitely has. Exactly. I remember the footage. Yeah, he played in the Basketball Africa League. And technically it was Ulrich Shamshay who was the first. So Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's it. We're gonna go through the rest of the week to try to secure an interview. That's the plan.
And
if we get that interview, it will come out next week. But if not, who's coming back next week? Alex, our no-show host.
Oh, wow. Unbelievable. He no-showed the episode on no-show.
No-showed the episode.
No, just kidding, Alex.
No. He's looking great in Curacao.
Who's taking
Excited
these photos for him, man?
I mean, Alex used to have. If we're speaking about 2019, Alex's big bit back then was self timers.
Oh, so you're okay. So what we're talking about is, as far as we know, Alex just like went to Curacao solo, which
Yes.
whatever,
Sure.
as he would, But then we keep seeing these photos of just him like on the beach.
They're very like just scenic, cinematic, filmic photos.
Yeah,
They're very
he's got the
nice.
sunglasses on as always. He's become
Full
like
pose.
the Asian Bob McCowan. He's got a Liverpool kid on in the most recent one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who's taking these photos, man?
I was curious when I saw the first one. I was like, this is really nicely composed and everything.
Yeah, it's good.
I think there is a chance because like especially for like an all inclusive, you'll have some like chairs and everything by the water.
It's like a
that you
White
can look
Lotus situation. Somebody
I don't know if
this rich bastard wants a photo.
I wasn't even
I work for
suggesting
minimum
that
wage,
as
I
much
hate
as
you.
like he
Yeah.
might have like rigged something with his chair and then ran out, posed, and then came back.
So I can only imagine he's done this many. Like it took several.
Well, that's what I'm
shots.
saying. That used to be his thing back in 2019. I remember like
I thought his
when we were
thing
just,
was
like,
I'll write
Raptors-
about every photographer
so many-
in
he has so
Toronto.
many things.
I'll write about you guys in the New York Times if you guys take unlimited photos of me or
Oh my
farming
gosh!
courtside.
Yeah. No. Courtside Alex was a real thing. He had that. He was really into his disposable film. Remember, he was like a film guy for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, technically I was also a film guy for a minute,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I can strongly relate to this whole
Yeah.
experience.
But Alex, he's got range, is what we can say about Alex.
Yeah, no, bro's really got range. We have Liban Osman in the chat. Big shouts to Liban. It's good
shout out
seeing you
Liban.
at the screening as well. Bro's on his 30th side quest of the year, and you would think that's an exaggeration, but I don't.
If you count each individual like
100% genuine.
concert alone as a side quest, then he absolutely is at
Yeah.
least. Yeah.
But we're happy for him because the season's about to start, and
Yeah, we need
we're
him
about
ready.
to get real
you know?
busy, man. There's
know?
not gonna be no show job.
It's not just Simply Spike that's going to get him refreshed. It's going to be
I hope he's found some Simply Spiked over there too, because I know, man. We've been
that Simply Spiked hits different in Curacao.
Oh, I'm sure it's hitting for sure.
Yeah.
I've been trying to vamp and buy a little bit of time because
Oh, what
just
did
wanted
you
to
find?
find one photo of alleged ore farming courtside.
Oh,
I believe the photo credit here will
There
go
are
to
so many. Is it Keyshawn?
Keyshawn Mystery.
Yeah.
That's the two of us. This is actually a very specific game. This is the Christmas game, 2025 or not 2025.
Oh yeah, you can
2019.
see the snow globes in the back.
Raptors Celtics
Yeah.
on Christmas. I'm actually wearing the Jack Armstrong Christmas hoodie. It says ho ho.
Oh,
ho.
like the ugly Christmas
Hello.
sweater type.
Yeah, it's an ugly
thing.
Christmas
yeah,
sweater
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, this
That's
is Christmas Day, man.
Man,
Those shirts are
2019,
legendary. I still see those around.
2020 Raptors like hit different. Like
Oh.
the thing that I like really loved about that summer, like we don't have to go on like and continually vamp, but like
Yeah.
everyone wore Raptor stuff, and it wasn't corny to wear Raptor stuff. And anything that
Oh,
dropped
man.
that was Raptors branded, you're like, I must have it, I must wear it. And now it's just all like kind of collecting a lot of dust, unfortunately.
Oh, come on, man. You can still proudly rock Raps.
I do, but just that we don't like wear it like 24/7 is what we
No,
do.
the
Yeah.
level
Actually,
of pride back then was
Fun story about this, like a little behind the scenes. I feel like it's been long enough since.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
remember all those get posted, and then I think I like post because like obviously this was like an OVO collab, this like snow globe Raptors drop, and I think I posted to my story, and then replying to my story is former Toronto FC keeper Alex Bono.
Oh,
Who was
sick.
like,
But
how
who's
do I
gone on
get-
to do some great things? Shouts to Alex Bono.
Yeah. Shout out
Great-
Alex
great
Bono.
keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, great keeper.
Former Ossington resident, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Used to live above the Pizza Libretto. He might still own that property. Who knows? I'm really just doxing
It's
him at
valuable
this point.
property. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. But no, shout out Alex. Like he was always the homie, just a really nice guy. But he like DMs like, how do I get some of these? I'm like, do you want me to go to the office and grab some? He's like, please. So I think I like grabbed like a whole like pile
Cap
for him and his
circumvention.
family. yeah.
Oh man, Jerome, what are you doing? Right now?
Yeah. So
No,
it was a Toronto FC general allocated money GAM cap circumvention of
Wow.
about how much would it cost to like print those? Like somewhere
void
around
that
like
2020 title or whatever.
yeah, like $22 worth of OVO Snow Globe Christmas shirts. Yeah.
I mean, again, like it's a whole era, man. I mean, whatever. You know what? The takeaway here is the Clippers need to be fired into the sun, and the Raptors actually got a pretty good deal of Kawhi.
Like I don't really
didn't
want
get
to
any
open this
more,
up to
but-
get you to 2 hours, but maybe something to consider afterward. What would get
So-
you closure about Kawhi?
I just, you know what? Honestly, I actually had thought about this.
Okay.
If Kawhi ever went on record and just said, you know what, it was one of the biggest regrets of my life was leaving the Raptors. I feel like there was more winning to be done there.
You know what's really crazy about like hearing you talk through this on this episode and even just what you said there? Because of like the age difference and you didn't understand it, he is kind of like your Vince Carter. He's becoming it
That's
a little
pretty
bit too.
incredible. Yeah.
He kind of like
yeah,
literally
wow.
what you just said
Yeah,
there.
like he had my heart, and then he.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Like you're upset about the circumstances in which he left. You're upset
Yeah.
about the demands that caused like all of this breaking apart.
Yeah.
You the one thing that has
And he'll
that
never
isn't
cop to
different-
it at the end.
and he'll never cop to it at the end. Like I asked you, what would be the thing? Is like if he owns up to this, like what have we been spending like a
Wow.
whole season's worth?
Yes, we've
Yeah.
been we've been doing this whole song spiel with you and Alex, but
Yeah,
with Vince. But damn, you know what? I guess everything's gonna come around. I guess what that means is we'll have another Kawhi come around then.
yeah. Which means that
you
you'll have
live life long
strong
enough,
thoughts
something-
when they
something
raise
good's
his
gonna happen to
jersey.
you, man. Yeah, but I didn't even. Yeah, it is funny because yeah, I mean I think it's pretty clear at this point. Raptors will never be retiring number 2 for Kawhi.
Imagine Kawhi also says the same thing, like word for word of like whatever you feel about cap circumvention, it goes up with the Raptors with everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, man. I mean, it's since those people, since Kyle Lowry has left the franchise, since
Sure.
DeMar DeRozan has left the franchise, nobody's worn number 7, nobody's worn number 10. Since Kawhi's left the franchise, 3 players have worn number 2. This is where we'll close the show. Jerome Chang, can you
Sure.
guess those 3 players who have worn
Oh
number
my
2
God.
for the Raptors?
No, there's no way I'm getting
One
these.
currently plays on the team right now.
Who's number 2 on the team right now?
He's a young guy.
Young guy. Like young, like just joined the season young guy?
He's a sophomore.
He's a sophomore. Oh right, Stanley Johnson. Sorry, I'm reading the chat at this point.
No,
This
Stanley
will take me
Johnson
through.
did not
He
wear
did
number
not?
2. No.
Oh,
Stan
he
was
was
not
just
number
like
2.
he was just like our hopeful Kawhi
he
replacement.
was just signed as like a Kawhi signed with the Clips, and we got Stanley.
But we have
Johnson.
some names here. I'm already cheating at this point. So there's
okay.
Jalen Harris
Jalen Harris. Absolutely,
and
he was the
and
first. guy to get
Jonathan
number 2.
Mobo was too.
Mobo wears 2. Yeah, he wears 2.
Yeah,
I think
okay,
he did. I don't think he switched numbers, but yeah, he wears number 2.
Oh, and Jacoby. That's right.
Jacoby is going to wear number 2.
Okay.
I think he's like switched the number.
Okay.
But there is one more player that has definitively worn number 2, and he is genuinely one of my, like, honestly, bottom 5 least satisfying Raptors to watch.
Oh, was it which McDaniels did we have?
Jalen McDaniels
Jalen
also wore
McDaniels.
number 2.
right.
Yo, oh god, he
Curse
is
of the 2.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, yeah. So it's a cursed number. Actually, the history of Raptors wearing 2 is quite funny because outside of Kawhi, it's not a very happy list.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, like, that's the other thing, too. Like, even when you remove everything, it is still always a hard sell to be like, even though it's our first championship, he was such an extraordinary player, maybe the best player we've ever had.
Definitely the best player.
Definitely
we've
the
ever
best
had.
player we've ever had. Like, I'm like, do you retire a jersey off of one really great season? If anything, like, the longer that we don't
No,
win,
we will
it
look
almost
so
seems like
desperate right now if we did. Right
yeah,
now.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's was it like the Celtics or the Lakers like who made that comment of like we have so many retired jerseys, like you need to be of a certain like caliber to actually earn that sort of thing.
Yeah, that is true. Although Boston
Or, like,
has like retired like 15 players or something like that, maybe
Sure,
more.
sure,
I honestly think it's more than 15.
Right.
But they're a historic franchise. Like you can't deny it. I think, Yeah, what
This-
am I gonna
this is
say?
me,
man? Obviously,
actually-
I love Kawhi, bro.
This is me
actually,
dragging friend of the show, Shireen Ahmed, but I was hanging
Yeah.
out with Shireen last week, and she was talking about Sean Desmond, and she referred to him as Canadian music or pop legend Sean Desmond. And I said, what does that say about the field?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean Desmond was cool, man.
I
That
love
belt
Sean
with the,
Desmond,
the
but,
belt
like-
with the little ticker at the bottom. That's the
Sure,
shit.
sure.
Everyone wanted that. Putting the S on the hair, you know.
There you go.
Um,
He has
yeah,
a concert in December at History.
You know what? I'm surprised he still got he got history motion, level motion. You know, not even trying to push it. So, all right. Well, that's it. Thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate
Yes.
everyone for checking in. Again, huge thanks to Bruce. And I look forward to more reporting on this because I know there will be subsequent stories, and this is not one that's gonna stop.
There's an
here
investigation that we need to hear the results of still.
Yeah,
So,
I actually cannot wait to see more of this. It's been a difficult story to sort of like process, but you know, I really just hope the NBA does the right thing here. But again, the NBA is not obligated to do the moral thing. They're going to do the business. Their business. You know, at the end of the day, these are all businesses. I mean, sometimes they'll do something illegal, but you know, I don't think that that's necessarily what happened here. It seems like the only people who were doing things illegally were Aspiration by defrauding people. But you know, whatever. So thanks everyone for listening. This has been the Hello and Welcome podcast, and we will catch you next time.
aspirations will arise.
Best I ever had. Best I ever had. No, Kawhi, you're really the best we ever had, bro. Like that song really hits differently when I think about Kawhi Leonard.